Hello, and welcome to our introduction to CBD for your pet. I'm Robin Lynn, co-founder of the 1 Minute Cannabis, and I'm happy to be your guide. Pets can benefit from CBD and other cannabinoids as much as we can, but the laws are complicated, the products are plenty, the information can be overwhelming, and the misinformation out there just makes my head spin. My job is to impart accurate, up-to-date, and practical information that empowers you to make the best choices toward achieving maximum results. The 1 Minute Cannabis was created to help people make informed decisions when selecting and using CBD and cannabis products. Along the journey of helping more than 10,000 people, we began to apply what we knew about people to pets. My own pup, Pika, was my first pet client 8 years ago, and she continues to be my inspiration for continuing this mission. Whether your pet needs help for managing chronic pain, anxious behavior, GI issues, skin conditions, seizures, cancers, weaning off of pharmaceuticals, or any other conditions, or if you are simply seeking better quality of life for your dog or kitty, our protocols and best practices for utilizing cannabinoids empower you to achieve new levels of comfort with measurable results. It's not magic, it's science. There's a reason why cannabinoids can be so helpful, and I'm passionate about sharing what I know. My journey over a decade ago began as a quest for knowledge to better understand this giving plant called cannabis, and it continues each day through learning, helping, and ultimately making a difference in yet another life. So let's jump in. I always like to frame every session in a little bit of history. Prior to 1937, cannabis was a top 3 prescribed remedy. It was in our medicine cabinets, and it was also used widely in veterinary medicine. Sadly, due to prohibition, all the knowledge that we did know has been lost. The reason your vet isn't talking about it is because 1, they simply don't know, and 2, the laws, especially here in California, are quite complicated. So that's where we come in, bridging the gap to help you find the best result. To fully understand cannabis, it's important to understand the physiology of the plant and how it interacts with our endocannabinoid system. The cannabis plant is made up of hundreds of compounds, including cannabinoids, such as cannabidiol or CBD, and tetrahydrocannabinol or THC. These are just 2 of about 144 cannabinoids researchers have characterized and studied. These 2 most commonly discussed compounds, CBD and THC, are very similar in what they offer us, with the biggest difference being that THC is an intoxicant and CBD is not. Terpenes are also present in the cannabis plant. Terpenes contribute to the plant's unique taste, smell, and color, and are ultimately responsible for the mental and physical effects. For example, lavender contains a terpene known as linalool. This terpene is responsible for the lovely aroma and also inducing relaxation. Linalool is commonly found in cannabis. Another terpene, beta-caryophyllene, is found in many of the foods we eat, as well as many cannabis chemovars or strains. This terpene elevates our mood, tempers THC, and is highly anti-inflammatory, among other benefits. And we have flavonoids, the phytonutrients and antioxidants in the plant. These compounds work synergistically, creating what is referred to as the entourage effect and act on our endocannabinoid system. The endocannabinoid system, commonly called the ECS, is the reason why cannabinoids can work for so many conditions. The ECS is a very important physiological function that was discovered in 1988 by Dr. Raphael Mechoulam. The system is present in all animal life on our planet, including our dogs and cats. Sadly, because it was discovered as a result of studying the cannabis plant, it was largely disregarded by the medical community. The good news is that the importance of the system is beginning to get the attention it deserves. Simply put, at a cellular level, our ECS is a series of chemicals and receptors that affect nearly every other major system in our body, from our brain to our skin to our gut to our nervous and immune systems. All rely on our ECS operating at optimal levels. The ECS is disrupted by disease, stress, cancer, trauma, or injury. By using cannabinoid therapies, the ECS can regain balance and begin working in our favor. This is commonly referred to as homeostasis. This is the reason why cannabis has improved the lives of so many people. Based on demand, our bodies produce endogenous cannabinoids, such as anandamide and 2-AG, which then bind to receptors located all throughout our body. Once engaged, they send messages to our cells, tissues, and organs. When this system is functioning optimally, we are in balance. The problem is that we are endocannabinoid deficient, meaning our systems are not producing these compounds as they should. There are some sound theories as to why we are deficient and mainly have to do with lack of nutrition in our food, toxins in our environment, and the stresses under which we live. So just as if we were deficient in serotonin, for example, we may feed our system through a pill, correcting that deficiency. We can also feed our ECS through cannabinoids found in the cannabis plant, as they work quite similar on our receptors, and in the case of CBD, actually enhance our natural or endogenous cannabinoid production. The bottom line is that when our ECS is operating optimally, we feel better, and because our pets have the same system, so do they. Now, let's take a closer look at CBD. Many outlets report that CBD comes from hemp and THC comes from marijuana. The fact is that CBD is present in all cannabis plants. If you used cannabis in your youth, it likely contains some small concentrations of CBD. So whether you call it hemp, pot, weed, dope, grass, ganja, marijuana, or cannabis, the true scientific name of this plant is Cannabis sativa L. And under that designation, we have two types, hemp and cannabis, or AKA marijuana. The primary delineation between hemp and cannabis is the level of THC. Our government here in the US has decided that if the THC level is at or less than 0.3% by dry weight concentration, then the plant is classified as hemp. Anything above 0.3% THC is classified as cannabis or marijuana. The female cannabis plant flowers and then buds, growing naturally rich in THC on average between 15 and 18%. It also contains all those wonderful compounds, 100 plus cannabinoids, 200 plus terpenes, and flavonoids in rich concentration. This plant is rich in THC and generally produces concentrations of CBD at 5% or less. About 25 years ago, the growers in Humboldt County began to experiment through all natural methods with bringing the levels of THC up. And they were successful. But what happened was, as the THC increased, the minor or C cannabinoids such as CBD decreased. Well, a very smart man named Lawrence Ringo decided that if they could do that with THC, that they could do it with CBD. And that's exactly what he did, successfully cultivating a cannabis plant that was rich in CBD and low in THC. Today, we have CBD products being made from either industrial hemp or non-industrial hemp. Non-industrial hemp is simply the marijuana plant in all its richness, with cannabinoids, terpenes, and flavonoids in rich concentrations, grown rich in CBD, usually 18 to 24%, and at or under that 0.3% THC. Did you notice that the cannabis and the non-industrial hemp plant images are the same? That's because these are the same plant, with cannabis being grown high in THC and naturally low in CBD, and non-industrial hemp being grown rich in CBD and at or under that 0.3% THC. If you have heard of this strain, Charlotte's Web, they were among the first cultivators to perfect these plants' genetics and create products on a large scale. Industrial hemp is not really intended for human consumption, and while it contains many of the compounds we find in the non-industrial hemp and cannabis plant, these compounds are present in much lower concentrations and therefore may not produce ideal results. Based on my years of doing this and the results I have seen between products, I always recommend products that are from non-industrial or the cannabis plant that have small amounts of THC, as well as all the other wonderful and much needed compounds. As a consumer, it's not always clear what you're getting, but that's why we are here to help and empower you. 10 years ago, I couldn't give CBD away. 5 years ago, I watched the price triple, and today there are literally thousands of products being infused with CBD. Sadly, some products being promoted as hemp don't contain CBD at all. Now, let's take a closer look at THC and CBD. Many people believe that THC is only good for getting high, but as you can see, on 3 planes, physical, emotional, and protective, there is much overlap in what these two cannabinoids offer us. Remember, the big difference between THC and CBD is that THC in higher concentrations can be an intoxicant, but CBD is not. While cannabinoids are considered quite safe, when using hemp or cannabis products for our pets, we always want to proceed thoughtfully and carefully. The small concentrations of THC that are present in the hemp-derived products are beneficial in fully activating our system, while the risk of intoxicating your dog or cat are minimal. So now that you have a base understanding of the plant, let's talk a little about the different ways of using products for our pets. There are a multitude of tinctures, capsules, and treats available. We find that tinctures are our favorite method as they can be very precise when determining the right dose for each situation. And if needed, we can get very creative with how to use them. When using cannabinoids, there is no one-size-fits-all. We have drawn on more than a decade of experience to develop best practices for achieving maximum outcome. When we meet to talk about your unique circumstances, I will help you select or evaluate a product and provide individualized dosing guidance. Every one of us is unique, so finding the optimal dose is the first step. From there, I'll help you understand the importance of the therapeutic dose and finally discovering a maintenance dose. Some families find keeping their pet on CBD for the rest of their lives is critical. Others find they don't necessarily have to give it every single day. Keep in mind that we do not formulate our own products, but we have spent many years discovering and evaluating many of the options available. We can help you with products you select, or you can purchase one of the quality brands that we recommend. Thank you for taking the time to review this introduction, as it will provide a good basis on which to determine the best approach with your pet. I look forward to meeting with you very soon.